How they hangin', Dino Dudes? It's me, the Media Raptor, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Raptor Reviews. I'm holding a clothes hanger. It's gone now. So, what are we going to review today? Remember last episode, or in the Hancock review, when I talked about I was going to review Thor Ragnarock? Well, guess what? Today, we're reviewing Thor Ragnarock. Yeah, when I went to the theater, I mispronounced it as Thor Ragnarock, so that's what I'm going to call it now. So how was Thor Ragnarock in the MCU in general? Well, if we're being totally honest here, I think Thor Ragnarok might be the best movie in the MCU. It also might be one of the best superhero movies ever made. I'm not making this up. It's not I'm going to change this in a week. It is genuinely one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. Let's talk about why. See, this movie does something perfect. I've seen a lot of superhero movies and quite a few Marvel movies such as Guardians 2 and stuff. They've had a hard time balancing the emotional moments they want to try and have, like the dark moments, the sad moments, and the comedy. Heck, Guardians 2, 99% of it was just rapid fire humor because they just thought, okay, we have to try and be funny here. And it worked most of the time, but after a while, it got kind of annoying. So to be honest, it's hard to get a good balance of comedy and seriousness. This movie nails it. The humor, I was laughing out loud the entire movie. I don't think there was a single joke that I didn't at least laugh out loud for a second at. It is that good. You might think, wait, didn't you say that about Deadpool? Yeah, it's kind of funnier than Deadpool because it gets something right that Deadpool tried to do. They're making fun of the comic book cliches, such as the whole, I've been captured by the bad guy and this is how I'm going to escape. But they also use those cliches at the same time. If you want to make fun of a cliche or of a stereotype or whatever, you have to be willing to use it to try and add a joke in it. You gotta break it in order to make it. You got what I'm saying? Disney's tried this before with stuff like Frozen and Tangled. They've tried to add jokes or little plot lines which actively deconstruct the cliches and the morals and the ideas of what classic Disney films have done. They haven't always gotten it right. Thor Ragnarok does this perfectly. The giant threatening bad guy who is really easily taken down within one shot, boom, it's in there, and he's still threatening enough to be interesting, and he looks totally badass. Sartar, just look him up, he is awesome. Let's see, we have the family drama still going on, check, but they actually nail it perfectly. I'll cover that in a minute. We have funny side characters who don't get too annoying and don't steal the entire scene, check. Korg is amazing in this movie and I loved him. We have genuinely tense or sad moments where a character dies or is forced to make a hard choice, which genuinely gets the audience somewhat upset. Yeah, we got that. The throwaway joke character who ends up working with the bad guy, spoilers here of course, dies proving that he was a good guy the whole time, and it actually kind of works. You kind of feel sad when he dies. It was surprising, because most of the film he was played off as just a joke. But I want to talk about like all sorts of things in this movie. So you know what, you guys? I'm gonna go into spoiler territory real quick. When you see me flash this, it means it's okay to come back. Hit mute, and I'll be done in a minute or two. One thing which I love about these movies, which I think DC needs to really work on, which I will talk about later, is the fact that Marvel is not afraid to make drastic changes to their characters, to their settings, and overall just to their entire film universe. Want to know what I'm talking about? Asgard gets 100% destroyed in this movie, to a point where it literally explodes. Nothing can live there anymore. That's not a tiny detail which they'll just brush over in another movie. That's a pretty big frickin' deal. And the movie treats it as such. Granted, it's immediately followed up by a pretty good joke by Korg, but I don't want to spoil because that joke is one of the best ones in the whole movie, but it actually, and it's also not just done because they're like, oh look, we're gonna try and shake things up. It's what makes this so cool is the main villain, and I'm gonna get into her a bit more. Her power comes from Asgard. They realize the only way they can stop Ragnarok is by causing Ragnarok. That is a unique and awesome way to deal with a villain. I love it when Marvel decides to throw their hat out of the hole, just shoot them or punch them till they're down, and goes with stuff like this with Dormammu from Doctor Strange, where they have to think outside the box and come up with unique, crazy, and awesome ideas to beat the villain. It's kind of like what Linkara did at the end of the Stormwatch #1 review. They had to lose in order to win. And it works. And you don't see it coming, and it's just awesome. So that's something which, also, Thor's hammer gets destroyed by the end of the movie. Even after the post-credit scenes, he doesn't have a new one. That's a pretty big deal. He's had it for, let's see here, Avengers, Avengers 2, Thor, Thor 2 The Dark World, 4 of the core movies in this whole MCU, and it's gone now. Presumably for good. That is a big change. But Marvel is not afraid to make those changes. Everyone back? Awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. You know what? I don't want to spoil the rating just yet. The characters, all of them are likable. They range from just likable to lovable. Thor, one thing which this movie does so well with the humor is Thor has a lot of great jokes. Thing is, 2 movies ago, he never would have made these jokes. He's changed. And it's interesting to see how he's changed. It makes sense that his character would change and start to say the things he does after spending time on Earth. It makes sense. Because I just went on a whole spiel about how Marvels are willing to change things up. That's true with their characters too. They're willing to let them grow, adapt, become more mature, more immature, more human, more alien. It works. But Thor, this is the best Thor movie there is. And that's saying a lot, because I loved The Dark World. Loki, I didn't really get why everyone loved him in the Avengers. I mean, he was a great villain in the Avengers, and I liked him a lot in Thor 1 and 2. In this one, he is great. You know what? You can go ahead and... I see the writing on the wall now. I'm a Loki fan now. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I think he is probably the best villain in the MCU. More of an anti-villain now, to be honest. But he's a great character in the MCU. As I mentioned Korg earlier, he is hilarious. Hulk has some really good lines. I love the fact that Hulk has minor spoilers here, so I'm not going to make you pause or mute it because you see it in the trailer. Hulk's in this movie. He's been gone for 2 years. They're actually following the timeline 2 years since Age of Ultron. That's actually a really neat little reference. But he's been stuck as the Hulk for 2 years. And he doesn't remember it when he changes back. That is awesome. But even Hulk, he talks a lot more now. He's got some pretty funny lines. Even Hela, the main villain, the goddess of death, has some great lines. Now, let's be honest here. Superhero movies have hit and miss for villains. I'm going to be the first, I'll say it, I'll admit it. Deadpool, fantastic movie. Ajax, forgettable villain. In fact, some of the people I've seen the movie with don't even remember who he is. Let's just think here. Malekith, the Dark Elf in Thor 2, interesting villain, great potential, kinda wasted, not that memorable. Captain America the Winter Soldier, Baron Von, whatever his name was, the computer face guy, not that interesting. Do you want me to go on? Like, a lot of superhero movies have a hard time making both a compelling villain and an interesting villain and a memorable villain. Even Ultron kind of faltered a little bit. He wasn't as awesome as he should have been. He was a very intimidating and very well done character, but he wasn't perfect. Helen, they nailed all of it. They give her a great personality, a great backstory, one that really makes you question everything you've known through the entire Thor trilogy and makes you question a whole lot of things in both the comics and the other movies. She's intimidating, she is lethal, and she doesn't just go down without a fight. Plus, she is a giant wolf, and I like dogs, so shut up. Dogs are always awesome. But she is a great villain, and I really hope that Marvel learns from this and they try and make more bad guys this memorable. And I think part of why the characters are so great is the acting is fantastic. Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Idris Elba. What are you guys expecting? They've been doing these movies for a long time now. They've been doing nothing but increasing their skill in these movies. And it shows. It is phenomenal. Mark Ruffalo, he actually is still Hulk. They didn't recast him like was rumored. Does a great job as both the Hulk and Bruce Banner. Jeff Goldblum, I haven't seen this guy in a movie in ages. Not since I believe it was Independence Day. Maybe he was in the sequel. I didn't watch the sequel because it looked horrible. But even then, like a lot of people say he hasn't really done a lot of good movies since the first Jurassic Park. Heck, some people even argue he wasn't that good in the first Jurassic Park. He nails the Grandmaster here. I didn't want to talk about him because I don't want to spoil too much. He is awesome in it. He is just entertaining. He is funny, charming, and kind of a bad guy, even though he doesn't seem like that much of a bad guy. It's a great character for him. Carl Urban as Skirmish, or whatever his name was. They didn't really say his name. Great job, but then again, it's Carl Urban. What do you expect? That guy is a great actor. Just everyone does a phenomenal job. Probably the only thing better than the acting are the special effects. This time, they kind of knew they wanted to go all out with the effects. We have a 5-minute gladiator scene of Thor versus Hulk. I nearly said horror versus Tulk. That would have been weird. That would have been totally different. But it is entertaining, it's unique, and it's memorable. When Thor is thrown down against Surtur and his minions, it's awesome. When the Hulk goes straight up against the giant dog creature, which I'm now going to name Frank because I feel like naming the giant scary monster Frank, it's entertaining and awesome. When he changes back and forth between Hulk and Bruce Banner, it looks awesome. The ships, the locations, everything is beautiful. The costumes, the makeup. You can tell so much time and effort and love went into this movie. You want to know what else is great about this movie? The soundtrack. I know to some people, nostalgia can kind of get very annoying, and I kind of am a little tired of everything having to be 80s. But the music is both a mixture of 80s techno and 80s hair metal, including Led Zeppelin, which is always awesome. So the soundtrack, I actually kind of want to go download the score because it is just awesome. And it really, I found myself kind of just jamming out to it in the theater while the movie was still going on. Let's see here. Lighting is fine. It's a major Marvel movie. What do you expect? Camera work is great, as usual. But then again, what do you expect? Where they have nice, beautiful, long, sweeping shots of Asgard, of the interstellar gateway of the Rainbow Road looking world. It's cool. Really, I bet you're expecting at this point for me to say my only complaint is it was too long or too slow. No, it actually isn't. They nailed it. It's just about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Roughly. Maybe more like an hour and 50 minutes. I don't want to mislead you guys. I'm sorry. Let me just check this real quick. Anyhow, the pacing is perfect. Everything moves along fluently, nicely, and it doesn't feel like the end battle is just, oh, okay, it's going to be a 5-minute thing, then it's over. It's like, nope, we're going to give you some good time and really make this work. We're going to actually make this tense, drawn out, and entertaining. Hang on. Hang on. Actually, fun fact, did you guys know that next year the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be 10 years old? Yeah, I bet you're starting to feel old now. Oh, I was right. It is 2 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, but really, it kind of felt like it was 2 hours and 10 minutes, but at the same time, it didn't. It didn't feel like it was a 2 hour and 10 minute movie, partially because everything was just so awesome. And I really didn't want to mention these two things, but I gotta. One thing, I love the techno neon lights they kind of got going throughout the movie in certain scenes. It just looks awesome and trippy and cool. It has a very unique aesthetic and a very unique style, which makes it stand out beyond any of the other Marvel movies. The only other film which I think has its own unique style would be Ant-Man, because that's Edgar Wright, and he has his own unique directing style. The other thing is, there's a Doctor Strange scene. I didn't want to talk about this because I didn't want to spoil it, but you should probably know this because it's Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's a fantastic actor, and it's a great scene. But I'm not going to say why or when or what happens, but it's funny, it's awesome, it's just the right length. And you know what, you guys? This movie has officially proven itself that it deserves the legendary 4 Raptor Claw rating out of 4. It is my favorite Thor movie of the 3, and that's saying something because I genuinely enjoyed the first 2 a lot more than I thought I would. It is also out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe itself, and it is the best. And it's going up against stuff like Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Ant-Man, The Avengers, The Winter Soldier, Iron Man 2. Like, it's going up against a whole host of fantastic movies. And yet it proves itself that it is that good. It proves itself that it is not only that good, but it proves that it is that phenomenal. If you have not seen Thor Fraggle Rock, go check it out. Thor Fraggle Rock is probably one of the best movies I've seen all year. And you guys, I really, really look forward to seeing it again, because I'm going back to see this thing with some friends again, and I cannot wait. Now that I know what's going to happen, it is going to be awesome. And let's see, what else? I can't wait for Infinity War to see how this all ties into it, because it seems like all of it has been building to this. Marvel, this is your big chance to blow everyone away. Don't fail us now. And DC, get it together, man. I love you guys, but your problem is you don't have a vision, you don't have one director who's helped you through most of the movies, and you just seem to be trying to do what Marvel's been doing. Be your own thing. Alright? The whole phases leading up to a big team-up. Marvel did it first. That's your problem. You weren't fast enough out of the gate to catch them on that. You'll never be Marvel. But you can be DC. You can prove that your characters are just as awesome as the Avengers. Justice League, don't let me down when I go to see you eventually. But hey guys, that's all I got for this review. And if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to let me know on Twitter, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Comment down below, and if I use your suggestions, I'll give you a shout out. I'm always open on all social media sites. If you want to shoot me a message and just say hey, or just got ideas or recommendations, let me know. I'll check them out. And as always, you guys, this is the Media Raptor saying keep cool, and until next time, I will see all you Dino Dudes around. Later.